Hey everybody, happy Thursday out there. Thanks for joining us here on Northern Life. Right before the show, we were talking and I actually said a phrase and I'm like, that's a Ryan phrase that I said here. Sometimes I absorb different things from people that I like, of course, and one of the phrases I just said was funny enough, which is something that you say quite a bit, funny enough, and then go into another story. But you were saying that you had another phrase that Mary picked up on?
Mary's been, sometimes when she misses some shows, she watches them on our YouTube channel. So in case you miss a show, go to our Northern Life YouTube channel and that page there. Be sure to hit subscribe. But she said, I gotta tell you, a lot.
Yes,
and now that she said that, I go, I got to tell you, I do say that a lot.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I'm not saying this is a crutch phrase because, but during your time here, you know, as me especially as a weather person, you develop these crutch words, and it sometimes takes the person, like a viewer, you know, texting in and being like, you say this word quite a bit. And then I go back and listen, I'm like, oh my gosh, I say that all the time. And then you have to break yourself of it. You don't have to do that, of course. But I'm saying that, you know, personally, there's quite a few crutch words that I have to break throughout the years. And every once in a while, one comes along and you got to break it, you know? Oh my gosh.
You know what I'll say to that?
What?
Amen to that.
Amen to that. Yeah, that's one of mine. Yeah.
Rock
Amen
on,
to that,
brother.
Rock on.
For us in the TV world too, we hate silence on air. If, 1 second of silence probably feels like 30 seconds to us. So, or even at home too. So we keep the conversation going as much as we can. So
you're amen to that, man. Yeah, keep it going as much as we can. So now it's your turn to read.
100%. Well, let's start the show with an incredible text from our Northern Life text line. Sandy in Esco, Minnesota said, my grandson Riley asked, why is Hunter giving up eating at McDonald's? So I told him, Hunter is giving up eating at fast food restaurants. Riley looks at me and says, well, tell him to just drive slow when he drives through McDonald's. It actually took me a time or two to figure out, you know, the joke and all that.
Yes.
But I understand. That is pretty funny.
You know what's hilarious? I read it twice as well. I'm like, oh, and then it's because, oh my gosh, that's so funny though, Riley. I need you with me every time I'm eating fast food, just so I can justify, you know, why I'm eating
fast food.
You just slow down, you know.
Slow down.
I'll eat it slower, perhaps. You know, it makes it slow. That's cool.
Easy food.
Very smart there, Riley. Coming up on today's show, we are joined by Northern News Now legend here, meteorologist Dave Anderson. He'll share more about his life in public service, volunteering with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, telling us about their new recruiting effort to get more volunteers all across the Northland here, right?
Yeah, and it sounds like Duluth, I believe it's also Bayfield and International Falls.
Yeah,
as locations for those volunteers. So he's got a lot of stories to share.
Yes, amen.
Excited to chat with him. So, hey, guess what? Good news. I actually got my sleep apnea study results back.
You did?
I did. But here's the not so good news. I have learned that I do have severe obstructive sleep apnea. So it's not ideal. Here's something I had to learn this morning. So here's the table of what's normal and not normal, you know, when it comes to having sleep apnea. So for the folks who have normal sleep apnea, you wake up, you know, less than 5 times, or you have those events where you stop breathing every hour of sleep, you know, mild 5 to 15 times, moderate 15 to 30. Severe sleep, you know, you stop about 30 times in that hour of sleep. I was informed this morning that I had stopped doing my sleep study 32 times in 1 hour.
Oh my gosh.
There was nobody happier than my fiance Mary when it said that I was stopping that many times. She goes, I feel so, you know, justified in the experience that I've been living in for a number of months.
Jeez, oh my gosh, you said it's bad news, but I think it's good news that you're, you know, getting this all figured out.
Oh, that is the good news.
And of course, you know, you're this could be a very serious situation. Sleep apnea. So very cool that you're getting that figured out and going to hopefully be able to breathe and live a lot longer than you expected.
I hope so. For the folks out there too, you know, it sounds like higher blood pressure, you know, heart problems if you don't get this figured out. So I'm very glad that, you know, Mary pushed me to do it, and I hope that my story here can help push others out there to get their sleep study done.
Definitely.
Yeah, because the other thing too is my oxygen level. You're supposed to be in like the 90s. I think my lowest was at like 82.
Really?
I was sleeping when it was tracked. So
oh my gosh.
Be sure to, you know, talk to a doctor out there and get your sleep study scheduled, especially if you're doing the, you know, I could make the sounds for TV, like how I apparently stopped breathing, but I think it's probably not good for air. Not good for anybody's ears out there. And, you know, Mary's had to live that for a number of months, if not years now. So
I feel for you, Mary.
Yeah. We're getting it figured out. Well, let's get to another viewer comment. Glenn from Cable, Wisconsin texting us saying, Hunter was talking about his birdhouse, and I recently retired and built a squirrel house. Earl has officially already moved in.
That's awesome. I feel like my birdhouse is just going to turn into a squirrel house probably. It's probably tough to avoid the squirrels, but that is awesome. I love watching the squirrels as well. And yeah, there's my birdhouse with Kayla. She got me that for Christmas, one of the many presents, and we just hung it up this Sunday, and no birds quite yet. I'm sure we've had squirrels and stuff like that, but we're going to be watching this closely because, yeah, who doesn't like watching birds? Come on.
And correct me if I'm wrong, your place was your grandma's old place?
Yes, exactly.
And I saw in the comments something that was really special. One of your relatives commented saying that your grandma also had a very similar bird feeder at that place.
My Aunt Cindy. That was so sweet to see. She loves birds, especially owls, and she has passed on, unfortunately, but definitely it's carrying on the legacy, and that's one of the reasons why that place is my favorite in the world, is because of Grandma and because of all that stuff. So very cool.
That's very special. Yep. Love that. Well, you've heard of stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads. How about the new so-called stay-at-home sons?
Oh boy.
It refers to the jobless men living with their parents. The Washington Post reporting that they're apparently here to stay. In 2023, the Pew Research Center found 1/5 of men from 25 to 34 years old live in their parents' home. And last spring, Brendan Liao, a contestant on Jeopardy, described himself as a stay-at-home son, saying it sounded better than saying unemployed or a loiterer. It turns out some young men are actually really happy living at home and have embraced that lifestyle. And actually, in many cultures, it's apparently common for young adult children, that is, who are not married to continue living with their parents.
Hey, I say there's no shame in going back for a little bit if you lose your job or something like that. You fall on your feet. That's what parents are for.
Right.
So but definitely you don't want to overstay your welcome, perhaps.
That is true. You could become quite content at home. Mom making you some pizza rolls as you play some Xbox 360 in the basement after your 9 to 5. So. Yeah, as some folks out there say, it's good to have some problems. It's good to have a rent payment and all that.
Absolutely, yeah. Be an adult, it feels good. Every once in a while, my mom still does my laundry, and she's very sweet about that.
Yeah, we love our parents.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, but we're adults too.
Yes,
well, hey, coming up, Dave Anderson here in studio, chatting with Hunter about volunteering with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Welcome back, folks. Joining the U.S. Coast Guard doesn't always mean military service. Up here in the Northland, of course, volunteers are helping keep our lakes and waterways safe. The Coast Guard Auxiliary is now looking for more people to join their ranks, and we're talking with a longtime member here, my good friend, Mr. Dave Anderson. How you doing this afternoon, Dave?
Not too bad, Hunter. Yeah, it was more than 27 years ago when Barbara Riles on the 5 o'clock news interviewed some people from our local Coast Guard Auxiliary unit, and I was the floor director for that show and thought, well, what a wonderful way to serve right in your own backyard. And they took me out on the water to do a news story on some drills they were doing with the military part of the Coast Guard, and I was hooked.
Oh my gosh, is that really how you got involved? It was actually an old news story back with Barbara Riles back in the day?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, and people who might not know this around the Northland, can you explain what exactly the Coast Guard Auxiliary does and how it supports the active duty Coast Guard, Dave?
Yeah, back in 1939, as we were getting out of the Great Depression, boating was becoming more popular, and the Coast Guard's always been our smallest service in the whole country. And so Congress enacted an Auxiliary Act where a pool of trained volunteers was gathered that could pitch in and help out in times of need, personnel shortages, things like that. And over the years, it's grown into our focus is promoting boating safety. For every boating safety lesson we give, the active duty is out there free to rescue people and, do the law enforcement, all that sort of thing. So it's really a wonderful volunteer job. It is unpaid, but we just love pitching in and helping keep people safe out there. And now this year, the problem is many of us, I'm no spring chicken, the 20,000 or so auxiliary members in the country are starting to get a little bit older. We need some fresh blood, some younger folks. We'll take more older folks. Bottom line is there's a big recruiting drive going on right now, Hunter, and we'd sure love to have folks sign up and come and help serve.
Well, so you've been doing this for how many years did you say you've been doing
27.
this? 27. So you talked about what got you started. What's kept you in this thing? Why are you passionate about this sort of thing?
Well, it's really fun working hand in hand with the active duty Coast Guard. They respect what we civil volunteers do to help pitch in because we, give them just a little bit of a break. Here we are out on one of the rescue boats on Lake Superior doing some safety drills in time for the boating opener.
Okay.
And it's just a heck of an honor to work with young people from all over the United States. From Alaska to Florida, I've had colleagues, and from Guam to Puerto Rico. all coming together
Jeez.
from all over the country to help people. We even had a British national in the local active duty unit for a while.
Really?
She decided she wanted to serve in the United States Coast Guard.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
we get them from all over the world. The main goal, keeping people safe out there.
It sounds like basically a community of people. You
It
get to
is.
know your people probably pretty well
Yep.
at that sort of thing.
Yep, you really do. And again, it's volunteer work, and it's a lot of fun, and it's very fulfilling, very rewarding, and we're hoping folks can come and join us. The minimum age is 17. There's no upper age limit.
Hey.
We had one recent member, well, he passed away in his 90s, and he was an auxiliary member till the day he passed on. Dr. Jim Munger, who many boating enthusiasts will remember as one of the gurus of boating safety here in the Northland. And you know, there's no basic training. You're not going to be shipped away to Cape May in New Jersey for 8 weeks of Marine Corps style training,
Sure.
which is the way active duty Coast Guard training is. It's as tough as the Marines,
Yeah.
but it is 4 weeks shorter.
Yeah, yeah.
To become an auxiliary member, you know, you pass a background check, and then you train locally here at Coast Guard Station Duluth. You take a basic seamanship course that can take as little as 1 day if
Okay.
you do it on one fell swoop, or maybe spread out over a week. It's not that hard.
Yeah, that's awesome. What kind of training did you have to go through? Did you have to go through all of that sort of stuff that you just mentioned there, or was there a different kind of training back in that day?
Back in the late 90s, so long ago. No, you know, you get a couple of chief petty officers and a couple of experienced auxiliaries there to tell you all about boating safety and basic sheet seamanship, you know, port, starboard,
Sure, yep.
bow, stern,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, how to tie knots, handle lines, and things like that. And then once you become qualified, basically qualified it's called, then you can start specialty training. And of course, as a TV guy, my specialty has been public affairs over the years. I get to shoot commercials and do news stories and cover events that the auxiliary, active duty, and reserve are doing. I've been out on missions on the big lake, you know, somber ones like burials at sea, to fun ones like breaking ice in the harbor.
Yeah.
And while these other people are doing all the hard work, I get to take pictures of that. So
Yeah, yeah.
That's the public affairs forte. And of course, as a degreed meteorologist like you, Hunter, I get to teach boating safety to boaters. We offer classes, and
Amen. That's
again,
great.
it all ties down into keeping people safe on the
Yes.
water and the ice too.
That's what it's all about, and that's so important this time of the year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you already have some younger folks that are interested in this type of thing? Obviously, you're looking for more, but are there a few younger folks that are already?
You know,
into
our
this?
local unit does have a few younger folks, and so there's a big gap in between of, you know, we've got some older folks and some younger folks. We could use some middle ground,
Yeah.
indeed. And to find out more, just go online, go to cgaux.org.
Beautiful.
And you can learn more about us, how to get involved, where the most local unit to your neck of the woods could be. Bottom line here is in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, we have units in International Falls, here in Duluth, and over in Bayfield.
All over the place. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm talking about, Dave. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today, and you heard it where you can go to get more information. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back, folks. Exciting. With America's birthday coming up later this year, a collection of at least 10 documents from the National Archives is going out on tour, much like a band. It's
the Beatles,
It's
yeah.
the Beatles, yeah, woo! Bunch of women cheering. Anyway, a 737 called the Freedom Plane will take them to museums in several U.S. cities. The documents are mostly lesser-known relics from early American history, things like George Washington's signed oath of allegiance to the Continental Army and the Treaty of Paris, which ended the Revolutionary War. The closest cities to U.S. where you can find the docks, and to us, not U.S., Reed Hunter, where you can find the docks are Kansas City and Dearborn, Michigan. Not too far away there, Ryan.
No, not too far. You know, I've been out to D.C. before as probably in my teens or so.
Sure.
And we got to go to see the Declaration of Independence and all those amazing documents. I feel like I would love to go back to D.C. just because I'm older now and have a lot more appreciation for what I was seeing back in the day.
Yeah, I feel like, because how old were you again? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was probably like 12 or 13, I think. Yeah.
You can definitely have some appreciation, but
Yeah.
there's nothing like, I don't know, being a young adult or just an adult in general and knowing
Yeah.
the history and what it it actually means. That's pretty cool.
I'm at the point in my life, too, where I turn on a historical documentary and I go, you know what, I'm going to sit down and watch this. This is cool. So I think that would be me in D.C. now.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yep.
Well, let's get to one of the best rivalries at the Winter Olympics, the United States and Canada in women's hockey. These two countries on a collision course for gold in Italy next month once again.
That's right. Chris Egan has more.
The world of women's hockey is a small one. That world consists of North America, the United States, and Canada.
We hate them. It's an awesome rivalry. It's so spicy out there.
Since women's hockey started in the Olympics, these two countries have pretty much staged a two-team tournament.
Blood boils sometimes on the ice and even off the ice, so I think, yeah, it's definitely one of the greatest rivalries.
In 7 Olympic Games, Canada and the U.S. have won the gold medal each time. The Americans won gold in 1998 in Nagano. Then Canada won 4 Olympic Games in a row in Salt Lake, Torino, Vancouver, and Sochi. The red, white, and blue stopped that streak in 2018 in Pyeongchang. But then Canada stood on top of the podium 4 years later in 2022 in Beijing.
The loss always sucks, and it stays with you for quite a while.
When it ended in 2022, I mean, we all looked right to 2026, and we knew what our goal was, and we want to win a gold medal.
And here we go again. This time it's a showdown in Milan this February.
This is their Stanley Cup and Olympics, and everything is all wrapped up into one as far as their dreams are concerned, and this is the tip of the iceberg for women's hockey.
And it should come down to the U.S. and Canada yet again. The possibility of beating the Canadians to win Olympic gold is what keeps Team USA coming back to the rink every day.
When both teams step on the ice, it's almost like a do-or-die mentality, and I think everyone takes so much pride in like U.S. or Canada, and I think that gets put on display when we hit the ice.
In women's hockey, supremacy is judged by Olympic gold. Add some bad blood, rich history, and the best players in the world, and you have one of the best rivalries in sports.
I don't know about you, man, but I'm fired up. Let's
I'm
go
amped.
USA.
Yeah.
Come on.
And also, in case you hear people say America 250, you remember folks said the bicentennial?
Yes.
We have learned it is the semi-quincentennial. It's what you can throw out, that long word.
The quincentennial would be the 500-year anniversary, right? So semi-quincentennial.
We will not be around for that.
No, we will not, unfortunately, but others maybe will someday, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, when we see you again tomorrow on this quincentennial, Ryan and I, we're going to be having our shoes on, of course, but more offices are apparently going shoes off. We're going to be taking you to a business where they've made the switch to socks or slides for business and for health, Ryan. I'm very interested to hear the reasoning and the logistics behind that.
Yeah, the benefits and the wonderful smells.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah. Well, hey, before we go today, some grandfathers spent retirement on the golf course. But in Arizona, Grandpa Ken is spending his time reading to millions of kids out there. Ken Profit started dressing up in costume to make storytime fun for his grandkids. Then it took online after the pandemic, and his website and YouTube channel have now reached more than 2 million children with hundreds of costumes and more than 800 books read, all with one goal, to show kids the power of reading.
That's so sweet. Wasn't that the best when someone came in and read to you as a kid in the class? Oh my gosh.
All the time, especially when they take the book very slowly.
Yes, oh yeah, right, exactly. We love you. Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.
Find some time to throw a line, or just head outside to unwind. That's the life in the great North Woods. Hike or bike, whatever you like. Get out in the day, enjoy the night. Yeah, we got the life in the great North Woods. Yeah, we got the life in the great North Woods. Yeah, this is Northern Life.